Pro 1-inch, and this is a curling iron that automatically rotates. So if you are a hairdresser, this iron is going to be a huge tool, because as hairdressers, if you're not ruining your wrist and hand with your shears and your comb, the curling iron is definitely going to take a toll on your wrist long term, and you're going to get carpal tunnel very early. So a lot of hairdressers of the 80s, 70s even, 70s and 80s will tell you when you had the clicking curling irons, those really did a number on your wrist and your hand and your thumb. So with the modern technologies that we have, a lot of these tools that are made by other professionals are designed in a way to help alleviate a lot of the stress that you're putting on your body, so you're able to actually be in the field for longer and also get just as good a result without all the work that you have to put in with the regular tool. So when you open your box, the Beach Waver comes in 2 different sizes. There is a 1 1/4 inch, which produces more of a wave, and there is a 1 inch. Now, my own personal preference is, if you have to get a curling iron, go with a 1 inch, because you can always make the curl a little bit looser by taking bigger sections. You cannot do the same with a bigger iron. Now, what I do wish they would have the ability to actually change out the barrels and get a whole wide range of sizes, because when you have different size curling irons, it can be a storage issue, and when you have a tool that you can change out the barrel, that makes things a lot better. So I'm gonna get right into it. I have my model right over here. One of the best clients I'll ever have. So she is beach blonde, and she wants to get some nice waves in her hair. She showed me a picture of Marilyn Monroe. Hope you all know that I'm kidding. I always tell my students, when the mannequins talk, that's how you know there's a problem. And let me just adjust my light, because this is a little too darn bright. Now it's too dark. That should be better. So I'm gonna get set up. I'm gonna first use heat protectant. Now, so many people, when I see in the videos, they don't use heat protectant, they just jump right onto the iron. That is a huge no-no. You're gonna fry your hair off to a crisp, and you don't want that. Ain't no one want fried hair. So I'm gonna go and give a generous spritz all over. And another thing, when you spray heat protectant in your hair, know that you do not want to then take your hair while it is slightly damp from the product and then iron it, because you will fry your hair off. Simple as that. And I'm going to take the brush and just brush through. Distribute that product nice and evenly throughout the hair. Okay. So I'm going to plug the iron in. And another thing too is that people, when you get an iron, they automatically jack it up to the highest setting, and that is a foolproof way to fry your hair off and have to get a wig. It's easier to always bump up the heat of your iron than to glue the hair back on, or to go to hair replacement if you've really done a number on your scalp. So with the iron, remember that a little goes a long way with heat. Now it doesn't work. Try this one. There we go. So get your iron all situated. I'm gonna actually move this closer. I don't know if I can zoom out. So I'm gonna heat this iron up. I'm gonna go with 370 that I've tested out in this mannequin. So this iron is gonna be heating up to that temperature. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this down, I'm gonna do a beep when it's ready, and I'm gonna go over and just talk to everyone about the different styles that you can use. So when you're working with a curling iron, it's important to remember that not only is sectioning important, but the position of your iron is just equally as important. Know that if you want classical waves, you're gonna hold the iron vertically, and if you want defined curls, you're gonna hold it diagonally. When you hold it diagonally, it's kind of gonna wrap the hair in almost like a spiral pattern, kind of like a candy cane. If you hold it horizontally, which is straight across, it's gonna give you old school Hollywood waves. The one thing I always tell people is typically people like it when you curl away from the face. If you tend to curl inward of the face, it can look very matronly very quick, and that's not always a good thing. You also want to know too that when the hair is fully cooled, you can then take a brush and then you can comb out your set. This will give you more of a defined curl and wave. It depends on the look that you're looking for. So play around with it, have fun. If anyone's here in the comments, comment down below if you have a preference, because I'm thinking I'm just going to stick with horizontal waves, give you more of like a Hollywood feel, kind of like that Marilyn Monroe look, because I think that's a pretty popular trend. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go section her hair. I think I'm even going to give her a deep side part. That would look really nice. I'll just go right in like this. And again, it's a mannequin, so sometimes you try to part them one way and then the hair has a whole different plane for you. But it's fun. So what I'm gonna do is, because we're doing an old school look, let me adjust this. The nice thing about the waver is that you have the ability to go from left to right. So when you do that, it makes it so much easier instead of kind of going with your hands. Now I am technically left-handed. I tend to use my right for a lot of things. I'm actually ambidextrous, fun fact. So take your section of hair and I'm gonna go about 1 inch thick, about the size of the barrel. This might be a little too thick, but it gives it more of a wave. I'm gonna hold my hair straight, I'm gonna hold my iron horizontally. I'm gonna take the hair, and you can just take the iron like so and just silk the hair. That sometimes helps to prep it for the iron. I'm gonna go down here, and I'm gonna go the opposite way. So I'm gonna go on right, and I'm gonna curl under. And it's also important that you wanna grip the hair in the lower area, because sometimes it does suck the hair inside of it. And you're gonna hold it for a few seconds, usually about 8 seconds. I'm gonna feel, when the hair starts to feel a little hot, then I'm gonna let go. And you're just gonna slide. Super, super easy to do. And again, I'm gonna go, slide under. And you get the rest of that hair in there. And it takes some practice, you'll learn. Sometimes if you grab it too close to the ends, it will come out. That tends to happen. And then slide out. And I know this kind of looks like the, grandma hair curlers, but just bear with me. It will look much better as we go on. So again, horizontal sections. And I always say the set of the hair is such a lost art because so many students will always think the way you hold things doesn't matter or the way you set the hair doesn't matter, and that's simply not true. A lot of the times we tend to make that mistake because we got lazy, and I've been just as guilty as doing that as well. A lot of your blowouts, believe it or not, are based on the same principles of roller theory. So little things like that do matter. And another thing too, you see that this iron has a little holder. If that's not in the right position, you can just rotate this until your clicker is on the top so you don't make a mess or damage the iron when you put it down. Okay, on to my next section. Take the hair, smooth, and go. And the one thing that's fun about irons is that you can have a lot of fun with irons. This does give you a technically different look than a curling iron. You're able to have a little bit more fun in that regard instead of being super orthodox with, you know, the strictness of a regular clicking iron. This is doing the work for you, so you're not going to have your hands up like this and shoulders up like this. This is something that you can really have a good time doing. And if you have one of the stylus chairs, I always recommend that because if you have back problems, that's just so nice to have. And it's interesting because I remember that back in the day, Marcel irons, when I was in cosmetology school, were all the rage because you would have fun. You know, it was up to you how strong you wanted to curl, and it would be slightly vintage without being too old school. So that's the nice thing about this. And you can make this work like a regular clicking iron. So let's say you just wanted to, you know, curl it yourself. You can always do that. That's the nice part of these irons. No, I'm gonna let go. And if you really have a client that has super fine hair and the hair does not curl for, you know, squat, I would just say personally do roller set in that situation. But if you don't know how or you don't have the time, what you want to do is then spray the hair with a nice protective spray, pin each curl up like this with a clip. Do a roller clip. I wouldn't do a pin curl clip. And then spray it with some hairspray and let it set. Really let the hair cool because you'll be able to what's the word, to set the hair in a better way and then see how that works out. Sometimes if the hair is super fine and does not curl, it's actually, I always recommend give the hair, if the hair can handle it, if it's not been, you know, too messed up, give it a slight perm just to hold that body. You'll be able to rough up that cuticle a little bit more and give it the structure that it needs. Other times when you do chemical services, that kind of just does it for you, and then you'll be able to have that controlled damage to do what you want it to. Any questions, just comment down below. I know this mannequin kind of looks like a little Bo Peep. And I'm actually impressed that the noise of this iron is not too loud. Sometimes you have a waving iron and the noise is just like unbearable. So it's something that I actually like a lot in that respect. And remember, the angling matters. So if you have the hair up like this, that's going to create a different look. Remember back to basic roller theory, half off base is 90 degrees. And that's all you really need. And this is just so easy. I'm shocked at no questions. Huh. Okay. I'm just going to take this and get this side up. As a rule of thumb, when you are curling the hair and you're holding it horizontally, curling underneath is going to be with the right button. So you're going to click the right button and then click go. That will curl underneath. If you're curling away and you maybe want to flip the ends up, you're going to go to the left and it's going to curl it the other way. I know that's kind of hard, but just remember that under is going to be right and over is going to be left when you're holding it horizontally. Believe me, math is not my favorite subject. In fact, I actually run away from math if I have to take a math class. So horizontal, vertical, I understand it in the result in the... Oh, Miss Pretty Lady, great to see you. How have you been? Dang it, how do I see these comments? Aha, here we go. Perfect. I am doing well, relatively. My New Year's Eve was incredible. So Miss Pretty Lady asked, what is the best shampoo and conditioner for damaged hair? That's a wonderful question. So you bring up a great topic. Now, shampoo is going to be one of those things that's complicated because a lot of brands, even professional brands, they don't list the pH in the bottle. So the brands that I use personally for my own little company and salon is Soma. I use Chromastix, I use Pro Rituals, and I use Advantage. All of those brands have the pH in the bottle, When you're working with hair and the company says that the product is pH balanced, I always say it's a bit of a lie because pH balance can mean anything. I had a company tell everyone that our products are pH balanced to a pH of 7 because that's natural. Well, a pH of 7 is not natural for our hair and for our skin because our hair and our skin have what's called an acid mantle, and they're about a pH of 4.5 to 5.5, more or less. Some people are a little bit on the lower end, other people a little bit higher. So when you're working within the integrity of the hair and skin, you want to use products that have a pH level of 4.5 to 5.5, and they say it on the bottle because if the pH is on the shampoo bottle, the company can't lie and then say, oh, you know, just trust us. Because if you trust a company like that, it's a bit dangerous. I had a company that claimed that their products are pH balanced and color safe, and it turns out that their shampoo is a pH of 9, which, to put that in perspective, is about the same pH of a cold wave alkaline perm. So there were people that were using the product complaining of scalp irritation, hair loss, and breakage. There are some brands, like the big one that's on the market will claim it's color safe because they put like a drop or two of SPF in it, but their actual shampoo that this one brand uses that's big, it actually has a very strong pH and it's very abrasive to the hair. There was a shampoo back in, I gotta say back in my day when I was younger, that was at CVS and I think is still there. It's called Prel. Prel was a concentrated shampoo paste and it was only made to be used about once a week. Now this product had a purpose maybe back in the day when ladies had layer upon layer of hairspray and didn't wash their hair for a while because you go to the salon for shampoo and set. But in today's world where people are more active and they have jobs and they're not getting sets anymore, it's not so useful and it can cause a lot of damage. So I would say any of those companies I mentioned above, Soma, Triorganics Complex, which is from Chromastics, Pro Rituals, Advantage, those are all wonderful brands that have the pH smack right on the bottle and you're able to get a decent product. And they have options, so like if you want moisture you can always never go wrong with, especially if your hair is color treated. I know for curly hair like mine, I always use a moisture one. I avoid protein because protein on curly hair, now there's a myth that protein breaks hair. Protein does not break hair. Back in the day, the myth was somewhat true because back in the day when you would make proteins for shampoos and conditioners, you would have to break it down in a lab and the result made the protein and it made a salt, and it was a salt that was drying and damaging to the hair. Protein on curly hair will just make it more voluminous, and that's not always a good thing because it can make the hair appear frizzy, it can make it appear too big. So for curly hair, moisture is always your best friend. You can never go wrong with moisture. On someone with like baby fine hair or just pin straight fine hair, a lot of professionals, which is really sad, they don't know the science, they're just taught in that one darn brand, and what happens is they end up falling into a brand of a company and then their hair is fried. Even products that claim that they're organic, that's a loaded term because organic does not have any legal bearing whatsoever in the hair industry. Technically, these are barrel curls. I know sometimes these comments do not always pop up, so let me see. Perfect. And I forgot to mention, to answer your other question, my New Year's was wonderful. Thank you for asking. How was your New Year's? Just had a very nice, mellow evening. Didn't really do too much. I just kind of want to rest, and I hate to say that, but honestly, most of these holidays, instead of doing this huge celebration and going out, just have a nice party at home with family and friends who don't have anywhere to go for the holidays. That's what I enjoy the most, personally. Watch a few movies, have a good laugh. Those are the important things. I gotta say that I'm glad that our country's kind of getting back to those old traditional family values of friends and family and, just having a good time. Another little curl. here's the fun part. So when you're getting to the round of the head, it's gonna have a little bit of an awkward pattern. Think of when you're wrapping a perm, because when you wrap a wrap is very similar to a roller set. It's all about direction, all about placement. And typically with a perm, you're always gonna be doing 90 degrees, so you don't put too much stress in the hair. If you're doing something else like 45 degrees with a perm, or you're going off base, you have to get a pick to stabilize it. Because with a perm, we're using chemicals, and if that rod is hanging too low and the hair's weight is on it, it's gonna just snap from the own weight. So think of, when you wrap a basic perm, this is basically the look the pattern that we're going for when we're curling it in this manner. So SBG asks, do I have a favorite flat iron? That is a great question. I do have a favorite flat iron. I try to go with something that is, I forgot what my iron's called. I'm gonna go try to look for it, but I think it was something, it was one of the keratin irons. Brazilian was good, but they're on the pricier side, and they're ones that work a lot better. So I would say Brazilian is a good one, and my other favorite one that I like, if it's a dry iron and not a steam iron, I do like to use Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell had a really good deal on theirs, and it worked really good for a while. I know that their company has changed, so I don't know if that's still true. And then if you are on a budget, one of the ones you can never go wrong with is Hot Tools, because price point, they are pretty good for the good quality. And just here's a little fact on record that I want everyone to know, especially other professionals. When you're doing a keratin treatment, there's this whole running myth that's saying that you need to use a stainless steel iron to do a keratin treatment, and that's actually false. The keratin does not know what type of iron you're using. It doesn't care if it's steel or ceramic, and a chemical is a chemical and is not necessarily going to care one way or the other with keratin. So as long as your iron hits 450 degrees and you're doing the method correctly, you can just do wonderful keratin. I do my keratins with a ceramic one. Thank you so much, Miss Pretty Lady. It is wonderful to always see you in the chat. You're like one of my favorite. I always have this nice little group of y'all that come together, and it's just great because we kind of become like a family over time. I call y'all my chat head family. Chat head is one of my favorite words. I learned it from my other company that I work with. Oh, keratin treatments are fun, SBG. Yeah, you're right, Miss Pretty Lady. A good keratin treatment is a pH of 5 because you're not stressing the hair out too much. And you're keeping that cuticle closed. So think of it like this. You just get a wonderful color done at a salon, and you're using a professional product because, again, there are some products that are on the market over the counter that are fine. At the end of the day, it's a bottle of shampoo. The chemicals don't know whether they're professional chemicals or not professional chemicals. All the chemicals are the same with the surfactants and which ingredients are in there. Most shampoos are pretty much just water and a type of cleaning agent. Now, there are different kinds of surfactants, and different kinds of surfactant chemicals clean different levels of dirt. So some will clean a little bit better than others. If you have a really good pH shampoo, oh no, fine thin hair. Well, the good thing about fine thin hair is that this technique you'd actually like, because when you go horizontal, it will give it some body. Oh, like this. My hair is thick, textured, and when it rains pretty much, and I go out in the rain, it just poofs up. It gets bigger and bigger. When it was growing in, when I was growing it out, it goes through an afro phase before it kind of goes outward, and then it eventually gets pulled down because of gravity. Oh, thank you, SBG. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button because I'll be covering more about that later. I hope I don't break your heart with this, but it was a while since we tested Davinus. Unfortunately, with Davinus, a lot of their products tend to be a little bit up there in the pH. And the other important thing, and I want y'all to write this down, is that let's say you have a shampoo with the perfect pH on it. Everything is good on it. Everything is good on it. The ingredients are fine. But if you read in that ingredients list on that shampoo that you have and it says sodium chloride, bad idea. That is table salt. Sodium chloride is the #1 color killer outside of pH. So it's even another double whammy. If you have a product that is perfectly pH balanced and you have sodium chloride in there, and sometimes they'll say if it's sulfate free, because sulfate doesn't fade color, that's another myth. If it says sulfate free, they're gonna probably try to get the same effect with table salt or as a thickener. Table salt will strip your color, so I think of it like this. If you have a salt spray and you spray your hair after a hair color, that washes it right out. Redken, for example, they had a shampoo, and again, I'm not knocking the product. It has its place, but for color-treated hair, I would say virgin hair that is very fine and needs body, the Redken salt shampoo, the Beach Envy, was wonderful. It did its job incredibly well. On color-treated hair, especially those semi-permanent colors, it would strip the color right out of it. We actually used to use it to strip out hair color after using a color remover, because after a color remover, having a higher pH shampoo is okay because it can actually take the color out. They also make a pH balanced shampoo to use with color removers that contains thio, which is perm solution. And I know people freak out when they hear that, but again, because it's pH balanced and it's a little bit gentler, and you're using about a tiny amount of perm solution, it's not enough of the product to break the bonds in your hair. It's just enough to kind of kick everything out of the hair. So perm solution at a very small dose is another great clarifying agent that will strip color a little bit, but it also maintains the integrity of the hair. And this is all about judgment too, because I tell people, like, I know other professionals, because I've gotten a lot of hate from other professionals. Why are you telling them this and this and that? Because I believe in honesty and I believe in integrity. And there are not that many good professionals out there that truly take the time to do the good education, the brand-free education, that take the time to get in there and educate their clients, make sure they understand why this is happening, what's going wrong, and to be able to own their mistakes. I've had mistakes happen in the salon, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and I'll try to fix it. I do my best to not let mistakes happen, but you learn from them. I made every single mistake in this industry possible, from using ammonia-free hair color, which was a huge mistake that I made. I know Davinus had a hair color that was weird. It was like, oh, this is like ammonia-free and it has this and that, and I tell people, stay clear of that, because if you have a demi-permanent that's acting like a permanent to lift the hair, what happens is that over time, people are now using that and overlapping over old color, and that's gonna cause a massive breakage over time. That actually happened in my hair. When I talk about my story of how I kind of walked away from the bigger brands, I was using ammonia-free and I was thinking that, oh, this product is truly oil-based and it's healthy for the hair and it leaves the hair 2 times fortified, which there was no evidence to support that claim whatsoever. I think by the 5th application, they kept running the color through my hair and it was like a level 5, it was like an ashy brown. The rest of my hair was about a level 8, a brassy orange, orange, and the integrity of it was horrible. It would get wet and it would just stretch and break. So I am almost there. And because I want 90 degrees on these round of the head, it's going to be held at a weird angle. It's going to be held up like this. And it's great just to press this little button and have it curl the hair for you. And what's really nice is when you start getting to the round of the head up here, the hair just kind of stays right in place. Kind of like stacks on it, which I think is so cool. Oh, I'm sorry, SBG. We're using ammonia-free color from Davinus. And again, it doesn't matter if it's Davinus or not, as long as it says ammonia-free. The thing that you're gonna be looking for on the label with an ammonia-free hair color or a demi-permanent is gonna be ethanolamine, monoethylamine, or MEA. Any one of those ingredients, it's the same chemical. That is a chemical that will trash your hair up. And here's the best part. That chemical is derived from ammonia. So even though it's ammonia-free, technically it's not. I always make my students recite this when we talk about the chemicals and whatnot, which is my favorite unit. I always make them say no lie is a lie, because they market like these lye-free relaxers, which do so much damage for the hair. Oh, I'm sorry, SBG. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, and it's sad because people always think that because there's not the odor that we associate with ammonia, that, oh, this product is good for me, it's good for the hair. It's all about perception, because when you start to have a foul odor, you tend to think, oh my gosh, because it smells bad, it must be bad for me, which is not always true. Ammonia is wonderful for the hair because it goes in and it evaporates out as a gas. There's clean evaporation, there is no residues left behind in the hair. And sometimes the MEA does have a foul odor to it, and I tell people that, which they're kind of shocked to hear. There's times that I can pick it up and I'm like, ooh, that stinks. And one of the ways that I tell people all the time to check the leveling of the hair is to do this. Let me just get this piece out of there. I don't have a comb on me, so I'm gonna do this. Take your comb or something that's leveled and just go like this to the different parts of the hair. That will tell you what 90 degrees is. You're gonna find that typically 90 degrees is gonna be up here on the section of the hair up to the crown. On the crown, 90 degrees is gonna be like that, and on everything else, it'll be boing, 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 boing. So the position will change. I know a lot of people get confused with that, and I understand that confusion. Especially if you ain't a math person. Those that really did well in math will understand a lot better. But it's funny because I find that those that are great at math are great at haircutting, great at doing updos, great at doing structure, but not that good at doing color. Those who are not good at math are good with the colors and chemistry services because that's more of an art, but we kind of find a way in our brains to kind of hack that and say, oh, I kind of understand how this works. I'm going to go a little bigger with this piece here because I want it a little bit more looser in the front. Thank you, Miss Pretty Lady. I'm trying to do it more often. It's just hard as heck when you're family. I love them to death, but sometimes they're a little too loud. So sometimes, I don't want to risk them either throwing a cuss word or, hearing them talk about something else. Or if they have the TV on and then I got to worry about copyright. But I am trying to make my own recording studio. It is in the works. It's just that we're still recovering from the one hurricane. So fingers crossed we'll get that sorted out soon. Okay, so I have that. And what I'm gonna do is, this is an important step, I'm gonna let this all cool. Nothing is worse than when you have hot hair and you take a brush and you just go right through it. That will take your set right out. Because think about this, when you put heat on the hair kind of softens up, the bonds break and they reform when it cools. So you gotta let it cool. This is where patience is so important. And what I'm gonna do to put this iron away is I'm gonna turn the iron until the handle is back up on top, and I'm simply gonna click it off. Okay. So Miss Pretty Lady said, I used to have thick textured hair, but since I'm older now, it's thinner. That happens to so many of us. My texture has actually changed. A little bit thinner, and when I had Lyme disease and I went through the Lyme treatment, I actually had lost a lot of my hair. It was coming out in clumps. My skin changed, and then the texture of it got frizzier and less coily curls. And then SBG said, off topic, but I'm getting my second perfect derma peel. I love it. Oh, how's that working for you? Derma peels are really cool. Yeah, peels are fun because we're actually, now being able to be more active at preventing aging, and we're being natural about it. Because peel acids are as natural as they come. It's not as invasive as some of these people are getting facelifts. I have a friend that works in the medical spa industry, and she told me that people will get facelifts and they go right to the tanning bed. And she's like, that defeats the entire purpose. It's crazy how many will go for the surgical route, but then not get a nice facial or do a good peel where you can actually correct more of the aging that way, and you have a good maintenance program. Because you can be getting all these wonderful facelifts and all of these invasive procedures, but if you're not using the right skincare, it ain't gonna work. And if you have a bad lifestyle, bad diet, it's gonna be defeating the purpose, and you're not gonna get the lifespan that you'd hope you'd get with that. SPG says way better than I thought it would. Yeah, no, some of those peels work really well. All right, so now that the hair is cooled, it takes about a few minutes. Just feel around. You're gonna start with a nice brush out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start from underneath, and you could even just gently clip all of this hair out of the way. And I had to clip some right here. And you're gonna start, and you're just gonna brush. And use your hand. You don't wanna take the brush and just tear into it like that, because that will make such a mess. Always follow the hand behind to smooth it. So we got that. I'm gonna brush this out. We got that. I'm gonna start over here. And if you really want to go a little retro, you can take some hairspray and do some teasing. You can use your hands to kind of sculpt. You can play around with this a little bit. I thought a bobby pin would be perfect, so you can pin this to the side. Look at that nice look it gives this. This gives it a very nice look. It has a bit of a nice retro feel to it. She's got a lot of volume, and you have this nice drama down here. So I like that about the horizontal curl, is it gives you volume, and it also gives you a little bit of structure. Kind of like you just had a modern retro roller set. Modern retro, I like that word. Modern and retro at the same time. Look at the volume she has up here now. And she has this nice little back. It looks like she had a nice roller set. Now she can go hairspray this, she can go out partying, she can have a great time, and this is gonna last her the whole night. And then if she cares for this well, she might be able to get a day or two out of it. Typically though, with an iron set, you gotta remember that with an iron set, you don't have as much longevity as opposed to a traditional roller set. And I'm gonna get a chair because I am getting a little bit of back pain. She can even pin this under. That would look really nice. This with like the right hat, or she had a fascinator right here, like a pink one with her skin tone, or a blue one. That would look so nice for summertime. She got like a nice little Southern Belle look going right here. So like I was getting back to it with some of the theory, a roller set, a traditional roller set, it does have a more tedious job to it. It's a little bit more monotonous. It can be very stressful, but if you do it correctly, the longevity is incredible. It's practically until you wash your hair, and the maintenance of it isn't too bad. With a hot roller set, you have less longevity than the roller set, but you can still manipulate it and make it work in a similar manner. With a hot iron, you have the least amount of longevity, but you have a different look that it gives. It doesn't last as long because the roller set works in the hydrogen bonds, and the hydrogen bonds are the weakest in the hair. Those hydrogen bonds are broken by adding water to the hair or moisture. Weather can affect them, and when they dry, they reseal. But even though they're the weakest, they produce the strongest curls and waves because they physically change the structure of the hair temporarily. Thank you, SBG, I appreciate it. It's just such a nice look. So after, using this iron a few times and, kind of going over it, I would recommend this iron. So that's the final question. Would I recommend this? Yeah, I would. It gives you a different way of doing hair. It kind of makes your work a lot easier. I get some stylists like doing things the old way, but if you can modernize it, why not do it the modern way? I think it's so creative to have the barrel rotate. I do think that if they increase the size of the clip a little bit, that would be good, but I don't really see the need to, as long as you know how to maneuver it right. It's a tool that I can definitely see a lot of professionals, using, and there's a lot of purpose for it. I wish that they would have made an interchangeable barrel to get different sizes from super small to super big, because that would be a lot easier. Or have the option to just take the clip off and then make it work as a curling wand. That would be really good too. So all these things that I think are just good ideas, and maybe just some constructive criticism. Price point, it's on the pricier side, but is not outrageously expensive. I think that for the price and for the versatility, and the fact that the actual product box teaches you all of this is really good. I think too that for the consumer, this is a great product for you as the professional to sell in your salon, because when you're able to retail to the client and teach them how to use it, that's what's gonna keep your clients coming back. I can't tell you how many times a professional will tell a client, don't get one of the irons, it's too hot, you're gonna burn your hair off. Your client is gonna be doing it anyway and trying to practice on their own hair at home and with their friends anyway, regardless of what you tell them. So you might as well give them the correct, honest information and being transparent. Too many professionals aren't doing that, and that's the problem. So what I always tell my clients is that if you wanna buy an iron, I don't require it, but I highly suggest if you really wanna know how to make this work for you, or if they're buying it as a gift for a friend, I always put my contact on it. I tell them, come into the salon, back when I was behind the chair, or I'll do a virtual session, and you can teach them how to use it, because when you're able to educate the client, that not only sets you apart from the rest of the 99% of stylists don't do that, but it also makes that client coming back. And it would also make you be able to, hopefully in the future, let's say they're buying this iron for their niece or their one friend, that niece or friend will come back to you and say, oh wow, I really like how Vinny showed me how to use this, or had me come into the salon, I can see the salon, and set out that little time frame of my own schedule, 20 minutes or so, just to go over the iron, how to use it, a little sheet on how to use it. That is so important to do, and not enough people are doing that. Client education is everything. So let's just get that out of the way. Normally, I'm a stickler for, trying to go brand free, because typically it's the person that makes the tool work. But in this situation, I have not found anything on the market that's similar to the Beach Waver. So for the time being, it's gonna be going with the Beach Waver if you want to get hair that is similar to this. And again, it's a deep side part, and you're gonna be curling it horizontally, and you're gonna be doing a very nice brush out on it. So other products I would use, because her hair is fine, I do not wanna weigh it down. I don't wanna put any kind of serum on it. I don't wanna put any silicone on it that's gonna weigh it down and make it feel greasy. What you could do is a very, very slight shine spray mist. Now, I also assess my client's scalp because I have a scalp camera. If this client, if she has an oily scalp, we ain't even gonna be touching a shine spray. What I'm gonna be going for is a nice hairspray that's a firm hold, because as it gets a little bit oily, even though it might feel a little firm, it's going to kind of even out. So that way, if she has a long night ahead of her, let's say she has to go to a gala, or she's going to a nice afternoon tea with her ladies, her hair doesn't fall when she's in there. She can get a good day out of it. Care for the style, I would tell them, take the hair, roll it and then clip it with some gentle clips, and or to take it and just gently wrap it and pin it, and wrap her hair in a silk scarf and silk or satin scarf, and sleep at night like that. That way when she gets up, she can undo the scarf and she can just gently readjust it. And educating the client, getting a nice brush, retailing them a brush in the salon, always keeping the hand behind the brush as you're going like this. You could even tease the hair up a little bit and just give it some extra volume. All these great options and versatility. So that is going to be that for this video. I'm going to try to go live at some either later day. I might go live later tonight, but I doubt it. And I'm going to go over some just additional things. If there's any additional styles that y'all want to see me use with the beach waver, comment down below. Get creative with it, have fun. I always tell people, go to your antique store. Go to your antique store and get a vintage hairstyling book for ladies, because in that book, they will show you roller set patterns. All of those roller set patterns can be used with the beach waver or a regular curling iron or hot rollers. Have fun with it, see what works best for you. I would say that if you have very thick hair, you're gonna have a lot of volume. So as long as you're okay with having a very dramatic look, this will work. If you have fine hair, this is perfect for you. And to make sure that you're using the right products for your hair. pH balanced products, all that matters. Thank you, SBG. Thank you, Miss Pretty Lady. Thank you, SBG, for coming in and chatting with me. I appreciate it. It was wonderful to see y'all. May your 2022 be prosperous, happy, healthy. May it be a lot better than the last few years. So please come on, y'all, and come to my other videos in the future. I'd love to have you. So have a wonderful night.